What an amazing time I had at the Tesla Takeover event hosted by the Tesla owners of Silicon Valley here in San Luis Obispo. It is 6:21 p.m. The event ended a couple hours ago and people have dispersed at this point. And now it's time to make the trip back home. So the plan for tonight is I need to get as far away from LA as I can. I need to get through LA so that way I don't have to deal with it in the morning. It's currently Saturday and I would like to make it home by Tuesday evening. So basically that would be almost 3.5 days to get back home. And it took 3.5 days to get out here, but I also had some extended stays in a couple of spots due to some unfortunate circumstances. But what an amazing event. It was so awesome seeing so many of you and also having the opportunity to interview Sandy Monroe, which was really cool. So with all that said, let's take a look at this massive road trip that we have in front of us. So obviously I'm going to have to zoom out here to show you what we have. A very long trip in front of us to make it back to Orlando. So I counted, I think 24 or 23 charging stops, something like that, to make it back home. And essentially for tonight, the goal is to at least get past LA. If I leave right now, this stop will be the minimum stop that I will make for tonight. Ideally, I'll make it all the way to Ehrenberg. I think it's Ehrenberg, Arizona, whatever it is. It's in the middle of the desert. There's really not much out there, but it would get me into Arizona tonight, which would be pretty awesome to make it that far already in the first night. But I am kind of tired, so I do need to be careful and do this safely. So first things first, let's just get out of LA to make this trip start. Let's take a look at where we're at to begin with. So this trip so far, I've done 2,991 miles, 333 watt hour per mile. So I think we're gonna land right at about 5,500 miles when I get home, because there was a detour I took on the way out here and I had to do some driving around Phoenix to get a wheel replaced. So I've got about 2,700 miles ahead of me. So let's go ahead and start this trip, start making our way home. So I moved things around a bit because we had so much excess charge and we ended up going to Glendale, California. So I'm supposed to be here for only 15 minutes to get to Cabazon, California, which I believe is in the parking lot of that huge casino, if I'm not mistaken, at the top of the hill, if I can get there. So I would be there at 11 o'clock-ish or so, and definitely going to be able to make it there. This last leg was 187 miles, 276 watt hour per mile. So pretty good start to the trip. I am going to go ahead and get plugged in. I am not sure if I'm sitting at a V3. I didn't even pay attention to look. So let's take a look now and see what we're dealing with. Of course, can't see it, so whatever. Anyways, let's just get plugged in. That'll tell us. Ay, ay, ay. Oh, cable feels like V3 to me. So that's good news. So we won't have to split charging because this place is packed. It's probably going to be packed for a bit tonight as people are headed back home from the big event. And that is a V3 charger, so that's good. It's interesting that it just stopped at 147. I wonder if these are capped. That's definitely interesting. So anyways, about 15 minutes here, not too far. I'm gonna let this thing charge, stretch my legs. There is an In-N-Out burger, which might be blasphemous for some of you, but I do not like In-N-Out burger. I don't think it's anything to write home about. So other than that, I think there's a sushi place, not much else to eat. So I'm just gonna walk around and stretch my legs. All right, so that's a wrap for charging. We're at 60%, should arrive at 18% in Cabazon, California. Looks like an hour and 18 minutes, 91 miles, not too bad. I am gonna go ahead and unplug. And also, a very important piece of this next leg. This is all that's left of my beverages. Need some energy. Should check these things out. They plug into the 12 volt in the back. Pretty awesome. Keep cold drinks on long road trips. Alright, so here we are at the charger. Supposed to be here for 20 minutes. That last leg was 92 miles, 306 watt-hour per mile. This is a V2 charger, and it's one of those that all stalls pull forward. So I'm going to go ahead and get plugged in and get this started. But there's, it's like in the parking lot of a McDonald's, which does not look like it's open. It might be, but there's a couple of other things over there. I'm gonna have to venture that way and see if I can get a bite to eat somewhere, maybe, because I want to make it one more stop. But we'll just have to wait and see. All right, so here's the deal. As this thing is wrapping up charging, it's dawning on me how tired I am at this moment. As you can see from my face where my glasses were, I was in the sun all day today, and to be quite honest with you, I'm exhausted, and I don't think I'm going to try to push it to the next charger. It's just probably not a safe thing to do. I wanted to make it past midnight, but 5 hours I think is respectable for the start of this trip, and I'll be thankful tomorrow that I did go ahead and take the plunge and start heading towards home. So I don't think I'm going to make it till 2 a.m. To make it to the next charger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge this just a smidge more, and I'm going to back in back here somewhere. I'm just at the supercharger. Like I said, there was a McDonald's and a couple things over there and just a Chevron. But because it's a V2 charger, I think that there's going to be less traffic in and out of here. And it's kind of secluded, so it's a little bit quieter back here. But it's also right off the highway. So from a safety perspective, I feel pretty good about this spot. And I think I'm just going to back there and cover up all the windows and get some sleep, get some rest. I just think that's probably the best thing for me right now, is to just call it. So I usually have more energy than this, but tomorrow, I promise, I will be back. I will be my full recharged self. The car's recharged now. I just need to recharge myself. So I'm gonna top this off, and I'll pick this up after I get everything set up in the car, so you can see how everything's gonna work tonight. All right, so I've got everything set up. I've got all the windows blocked out all the way around. I'm starting to get a feel for how to get my temporary windshield covers to work well. I think that's gonna work fine. There's good lighting here. I'm at a supercharger, so there should be some level of people coming and going that are in the Tesla community, so that always adds a level of feeling more secure. But I'm gonna lock the car down now, shut the lights off, and get some rest, and I'll pick this back up in the morning. All right, so I got some fantastic sleep last night, and in the moment, I can't believe how red I am from the sun yesterday. Hopefully this is just a morning look for me. I think I got too much sun. So it is 7:30 in the morning, and when we parked last night to start this, it was the car was sitting at 87%. So let's take a look, see how much we used using camp mode last night. So it looks like 9% over 7.5 hours. So about midnight. So a little bit more than 1% per hour, which is not a surprise. Now that's at 66 degrees. I think with my burn, I'm both feeling a little bit warmer. So it felt pretty nice to have it a little bit lower, and I slept great. So with all that, should arrive at Quartzsite at 20%. It is 2 hours and 15 minutes away, 156 miles. So should be there about 10 o'clock. And so I guess the goal tonight would be to get to Van Horn or even Fort Stockton, but getting into Texas tonight. Now we are going to lose an hour here once we get into Texas, and then another hour very quickly after. So this 11 o'clock could really be like 1 o'clock if they're on Central Time. I just can't figure out exactly where that time zone switches over. So gonna go ahead and get rolling. Should be in Arizona here in a couple of hours. So we're here in Quartzsite. As you may recall on our way down, there's clean restrooms over there. So we're supposed to be here for now 40 minutes, it says, and I'm actually gonna let that probably go because I am starving for breakfast, and I'm gonna get my Segway out, my scooter, it's down there, and I'm gonna go find some breakfast somewhere. I'm not sure where yet, but that last leg was actually pretty dang good. We were doing 85 miles an hour for at least half of it. So 329 1 hour per mile over 159 miles, and we made really good time. So 40 minutes here, which would give us a really long stretch to make it to Willcox, Arizona. And that is what I think we're gonna try to do. I don't normally charge this much and make this long of a stretch, but this time I think I'm gonna let it slide. So let's go ahead and get plugged in and get the scooter out. So I actually got this thing a year ago, and what I like about it is how it folds, because it fits really, really nicely right here on the floor, even with the seats folded down or whatever. So folds up nice and gets me around when you're at a charger like this. And there are some options, but they're not super close, especially if you're in a hurry. Takes like 2 minutes to get this thing going, so works out pretty well. I'm gonna go for a little ride. All right, so we're all charged up here at 90%, supposed to arrive in Casa Grande, Arizona at 10%. 2 hours and 28 minutes, 177 miles to go. I am gonna go ahead and unplug, and we will hit this next leg. Alright, so we arrived at Casa Grande, Arizona. Supposed to be here for 35 minutes to get to Willcox, Arizona. I don't know that we'll do that long, unless I get lunch, but let's see. 179 miles, 331 1 hour per mile. It's not a bad location. I think there's a Culver's right behind me, if you're into that kind of thing. But there's decent restaurants on the way in, and some that are walking distance, so that is good. So I'm gonna go ahead and get plugged in, and we'll see what we want to do after this. But I don't want to stop in Tucson, which is why Willcox would be the next one. This is only a V2, but this charger right here beside me is broken, so that means nobody can split this cabinet with me, so that should work out pretty good. All right, so we just finished up charging. Our next stop will be down in Willcox, Arizona. Should arrive at 13%. 2 hours, 5 minutes, 147 miles to go. Gonna go ahead and unplug now at 83%. we continue to make really good time so far. It's 3:25, arrived at 10%. That last leg at 85 miles an hour was 353 watt-hour per mile, 148 miles. Supposed to be here for 25 minutes to get to Deming, New Mexico. It's in the parking lot of a Holiday Inn Express. And over that way is a gas station truck stop. So that's about all there is out here. But I'm gonna get the scooter out so we can make it over there and stretch our legs, use the facilities, get a drink, that kind of thing. So gonna go ahead and get plugged in now. Well, we should be charged up enough here at 70%. Should arrive in Deming, New Mexico at 15% at 5:43. Just under 2 hours to go, 134 miles. Gonna go ahead and unplug now and hit the road. All right, so made really good time again. We're here in Deming, New Mexico. The only stop in New Mexico, it is a V2, like everything between California and here, basically. Or Phoenix to here, I should say. So supposed to be here for 20 minutes to get to El Paso, which I believe El Paso was the V3, but it was also in the parking lot of a barbecue place. So might have to have that for dinner anyways. Last leg, 135 miles, 357 watt-hour per mile, 85 miles an hour that whole stretch. I got just a sprinkle and I thought I was gonna get my car washed off from the weather. As you can see, it is raining in certain spots, but it is cooled off about 10 degrees now. So gonna get this plugged in and we'll get moving to the next stop. All right, so here wrapping up charging here in New Mexico. Next stop, El Paso on 1 hour and 17 minutes, 90 miles to go. Gonna go ahead and unplug now. Should arrive at about 16%. So here we are in El Paso. We made it at 9%. That last leg was 92 miles, 342 watt-hour per mile. It was super windy coming into El Paso, so hopefully that doesn't stick around for too long. It's supposed to be here for 25 minutes and then on to Van Horn. So gonna go ahead and get plugged in now. If you're ever at the El Paso Supercharger, inside of this place is barbecue and it is really good. I'm not gonna say it's the best I've ever had, but it's actually really good. You can smell it out here. They smoke the barbecue and the vents are in the back of this building, so it just kind of fills the area with the smell of this barbecue, and it is really good. Highly recommended. All right, so we're wrapping up charging here at 70%. Supposed to make it to Van Horn, Texas at about 10:22. That's an hour and 49 minutes, 130 miles. It is a bit windy all of a sudden, so when you come into wind like this, you want to make sure that you have ample charge to make it to the next stop, so that way you don't have to drive super slow to make it. But that's what you do. If you're not going to make it, just slow down. That's how this works. So gonna go ahead and unplug now. 71%, should arrive at 15%. So we've arrived at 11%, making fantastic time this evening. That last leg was 133 miles, 326 watt-hour per mile. Not too bad for a mostly 85 mile an hour trek. Supposed to be here for 20 minutes. I was supposed to stay here tonight. It's in the parking lot of a Hampton Inn, and I was just gonna park here tonight. It's actually a good spot to park, but I am still feeling pretty good, and it's only 10 o'clock Mountain Time. I'm gonna make it to the next charger, so that's one additional stop. I'm gonna make it tonight an extra 2 hours. So gonna go ahead and get plugged in now and walk around, stretch my legs, and get recharged. All right, so we have enough charge now to make it to our last stop, 69%. And it looks like we have an hour and 45 minutes to go, 120 miles to get to Fort Stockton, Texas. Should be there about 15%, close to 12:30. I am gonna stop because we're in the middle of nowhere, and there's a really good chance, because the skies appear to be clear, that I can get some cool pictures. So I'm gonna try to do that on my way back to the highway.
It's calling me.
Alright, so we have arrived Fort Stockton, Texas. It's a little bit after 2 a.m. Arrived here at 9%. So spent some time getting some cool pictures, and hopefully they're going to be worth it. But I'm going to get plugged in. We're in the parking lot of a truck stop with some amenities. So I'm going to sleep here tonight. I haven't decided where I'm going to park, but I'll find a good spot, park, and go ahead and get this thing charging and get set up for the evening. That last leg was 122 miles, 353 watt-hour per mile. All right, well, I had a great night's sleep again. This has been working out fantastic. I am gonna get a hotel tonight because I would really like to have a legitimate shower tonight. So tonight's my last night on the way home. So let's take a look. It's almost 8:30, and I started sleeping at 2:30 at 87%. So let's see how much we used. All right, so we are looking at 80%. So I used 7% in 6 hours, which is pretty good actually. The temperatures are a little bit lower than they had been previously at 80 degrees, so not quite as difficult for the car to keep the interior cool. So plenty of charge to make it to Ozona, Texas. Should be there in about an hour and a half. It's 107 miles. So gonna go ahead and get things rolling. All right, we've arrived here in Ozona, Texas, small little town, like everywhere in Texas, it turns out. We're in a hotel parking lot. It's not much here, but there are basic facilities. So 20 minutes here, and then we'll head to Junction, Texas. That last leg was 108 miles, 410 watt-hour per mile, which is extremely high. But there's like a lot of hills and stuff that we went through. So gonna go ahead and get plugged in and hopefully be here for just about 20 minutes before heading on to the next middle of nowhere town in Texas. All right, so we just finished up charging at 63%. Next leg is 90 miles, an hour and 14 minutes. Should be there about 10%. So gonna go ahead and unplug now and hit the road. Arrived at Junction, Texas. The second night I slept here, Yeah, the second night on the way to California. It's in a gas station parking lot. There's a motel. There is a McDonald's across the street. That's kind of about it out here. But it's supposed to be here for 25 minutes for charging. And that last leg was 91 miles, 374 watt hour per mile. So gonna get this thing charged up. I did mess with some of the superchargers. I forced it to go to specific ones in the coming section because it was trying to make me charge too long at some of these, and I just forced it to split these up, and we are getting a better arrival time now. So still trying to make it to Mississippi tonight. It's already down to 12. Well, now it's already down to 12:01 a.m., which is good. We've saved almost 25 minutes, I think, since this morning. So we're making good time. So I'm going to go ahead and get plugged in, stretch the legs out, and we'll get back on the road. All right, so we're wrapping up charging now at 72%. Our next stop is Junction, Texas, which is 123 miles away, about an hour and 45 minutes. Should be there about 1:15. Gonna go ahead and unplug and get to Junction. So we have arrived here in Schertz, Texas. Schertz? Is that how you spell that? Is that how you say that? Schertz? Anyways, got here at 15%. Supposed to be here for 20 minutes. And that last leg was 124 miles, 335 watt hour per mile. It's in a good spot right on top of a gas station, a grocery store, a ton of stuff here in San Antonio. Gonna go ahead and get plugged in and get us moving. All right, so we're wrapping up charging here at 54%. Should arrive at Flatonia, Texas. That's cool. 14%. 76 miles, 1 hour and 15 minutes to get there. Gonna go ahead and unplug now. Should be there about 2:45. So we arrived here in the Texas version of Daytona. It's called Flatonia, and we're supposed to be here for 30 minutes. This is just a V2, as most of these out west seem to be in the middle of the country. So last leg, 77 miles, 306 watt hour per mile. Little bit of traffic that slowed us down, of course, led to efficiency gain. So 30 minutes to charge here, and then on to Baytown, Texas, which I'm very excited about that one. If you watch part one, you know why. Pretty cool stop. So this has a Sonic, a Chester's, and a Jalapenos, so like a Mexican joint, and a convenience store, which is fine, but that's it. There's nothing else out here. So let's get plugged in and get rolling. Sorry, I got a little bit carried away, so I overcharged just a smidge. I'm so anxious to get this interview with Sandy out, so I've been over here doing some editing. You've probably already seen the interview by the time this video goes live, but let's take a look at what we got in front of us. So we're charged up at 85%, and it looks like we should arrive at 33%, way overcharged. It is 129 miles, 2 hours and 11 minutes. Should be there about 5:30 for dinner, which is perfect because it's a good stop for dinner. So I'm gonna go ahead and get unplugged, and we're gonna hit the road. So we've arrived at Baytown, Texas. Supposed to be here for 25 minutes. That last leg was 131 miles, 311 watt hour per mile. It's gonna go ahead and get plugged in and get this thing charged up, and go inside this massive gas station, the biggest gas station I've ever seen in my entire life. They actually have really good food inside, and it's a good place to stop off if you're passing through the Houston area because there's a lot of really good food inside. So let's get plugged in and get moving. All right, so we're coming up on finishing charging at 77%. Should be in Lake Charles, Louisiana in about an hour and 40 minutes, 118 miles. Should arrive at 13%. Gonna unplug now and head that way. So glad to be here at this stop. That was brutal. Houston traffic was, it's not that it was like terrible. It just took forever. So it was like, you know, a couple spots where maybe you stopped, but you kind of rolled, but just for miles and miles and miles and miles. Houston's a very sprawled out city. So that kind of was a drag, but nonetheless, we're here, we're through it, and it should be smooth sailing all the way until we get to Central Florida from here on out, which is good. So let's take a look at how we did. Arrived at 24%, supposed to be here for 25 minutes, and that last leg was 119 miles, 320 watt-hour per mile. So decent overall. Our next stop's in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 131 miles away. So I'm going to go ahead and get plugged in. It's a good spot. Some shopping if you want to do that kind of thing. But there's also plenty of restaurants. It's right behind a Sonic. What is it with Sonic? They're everywhere. And some other food options. And then I think that's like a casino, like way over there. I saw a bunch of signs for us. So let's go ahead and get plugged in. We're by ourselves, so that works since it's a V2. All right, so we've charged enough to get there. We're at 79%. It says we'll arrive at 23%, so I overcharged a bit, but I was a little distracted. 2 hours to go, 131 miles. So gonna go ahead and unplug now and hit the road. All right, so we made it to Baton Rouge. That was a nightmare. They had all the exits coming this way. All the exits were closed, completely closed. So I had to go all the way around, turn around, and come back and loop around. But fortunately, I was able to get here. All 3 exits. Oh my gosh. Wasn't sure I was going to make it. So we're good, 18%. Supposed to be here for 25 minutes, and I did add the hotel. I booked a hotel with chargers, used PlugShare to find hotels with chargers, and then go to see if they have availability. It's really not seamless, but that's how I do it. So the benefit is, don't ever count on them, but if the charger is available, then I'll be able to wake up with a full charge. If not, the supercharger is right down the road, so I have kind of a backup plan should that not work. But if it does work out, that saves you quite a bit of time because you can usually have a higher state of charge than you would normally set a supercharger for, and you'll be able to skip a charger. So that's the plan. Get charged up here for 25 minutes, then head to the hotel and go from there. So that last leg was 140 miles, 316 watt-hour per mile. Gonna go ahead and plug in now. All right, so we're wrapping up charging here at 80%. Should arrive at the hotel with 15%, and then only another 2% needed to get to the charger because the charger is very close to the hotel, which is good. So that's the fallback plan. So it says 2 hours to get there, 144 miles. So a good little stretch. It's our last stretch of the evening though, obviously. So gonna go ahead and get unplugged and see if we can get there at a decent time. pretty great news. We arrived and all but one of the chargers are all available, and it's because this hotel, they put cones up in front of all the spots. There's a Model 3 there. I'm gonna take this spot, and that's fantastic because that means we should be able to get a full charge overnight. Let's get it plugged in and see what kind of charging speed we're gonna be able to get from this thing. So it looks like 48 amps. Voltage is about 210. So voltage is a little bit low, but that's not too bad. It should be at 48 amps. That should be pretty good. So let's see. I'm gonna turn the air off. Let's see from a miles per hour speed. Yeah, so about 37 miles an hour. That's not bad at all. Perfect. So we should be able to leave here in the morning with basically a full charge. So that should be good. 8 hours and 10 minutes to charge this thing up to 100%. So we'll see. Maybe I'll sleep in, maybe I won't. I don't know. Anyways, let's see. That last leg, 147 miles, 335 watt hour per mile. So that's where we're at so far. We did pass 5,000 miles here just recently on this trip, which is nuts. And taking a look, let's see what we have left on this trip. All right, so here's what we're looking at for the rest of the trip. Now we will be able to skip this charger in the morning. So one, two, three, 4 more charging stops to make it home. And if we left right now, we'd be there at 10:30 in the morning. And I'm still not sure, are we on the same time zone? I think we are not on the same time zone. So 10 a.m. would be 11 a.m. But anyways, so call it 10:30. So that's 9.5 hours, including a 35-minute charge. So 9 hours to go. And if we leave at 8 a.m. local time, it'll be 9 a.m. At home. That would get us home at like 6 o'clock. And so that's kind of the situation. And obviously I'm staying at a hotel tonight so I can use the shower. And then in the morning, we'll just get up and finish this trip off. It's interesting where I'm staying. I guess it's a casino town. There's like a huge casino across the street. I didn't realize that was here at all. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my stuff and pick this up in the morning. So let's see, we're at 13% right now. Let's see how much of a charge we can get overnight. So last night I got some pretty awesome sleep, and I have some thoughts about sleeping in a hotel versus in the car. Sleeping in a hotel can be nice, and having a shower is also very nice, but it definitely adds time. I feel like in the hotel, I sleep in later than I do in the car. So if you're really, just trying to get where you're going, I feel like sleeping in the car is the way to go. But with that, having this charger last night came in clutch. I'm at 100%, which is perfect because I get to skip a charger and I get to go pretty far on this first stretch versus what it was planning for last night. So that saved us quite a bit of time. So let me show you what we have in front of us. I think that something is wrong because it says we'll be there at 5:30, which will be 6:30 Eastern time. And I think that that's optimistic, but maybe not. So last night, this charger really came in clutch. So by being at 100%, I can now go to Crestview, Florida, and then 2 other charging stops, and then we'll be home, which is pretty awesome. So this first leg will be 2 hours and 21 minutes, 157 miles. And then we'll have 2 more stops before finally making it home. So thanks to the hotel for the free charge and getting to 100%. Saved us quite a bit of time. So I'm gonna go ahead and get unplugged and hit the road. are here in Crestview, Florida, finally in the land of V3 superchargers. So supposed to be here for 30 minutes to make it to Tallahassee, and it looks like 159 miles, 333 watt-hour per mile. Gonna go ahead and get plugged in now. All right, so we're wrapping up charging here at 83%. Next stop in Tallahassee should arrive around 8%. So I'm gonna unplug a little bit early just to keep things moving. Still on track for about 5:30, which is 6:30 Eastern at home. So 2 hours to go, 147 miles. Gonna go ahead and unplug now and hit the road. All right, so we're here at the Supercharger. Actually mixed things up a little bit. So I'm here much more than I would have, but I split the one charger into two, which means I'll be here for 15 minutes, which is not super ideal, but I will make up for it at the next charger, which is also a V3. So I added one charger to this stint, essentially. So instead of an hour and 5 or 10 minutes, now combined, I'm looking at 50 minutes of charging. So 55 minutes of charging, something like that. But it also just makes this a more comfortable run. So I'm gonna get plugged in. That last leg, I'm not gonna talk too much about it, but my consumption was 379 because I had so much extra energy. I wanted to burn some of that off. 87 miles. I'm in the parking lot of like a Dairy Queen and a barbecue place. I think there's like a McDonald's and truck stop. It's a decent location because there's options. So gonna go ahead and get plugged in and charge this thing up. 15 minutes, be back on the road. All right, so we are charged up enough. I overcharged a little bit, but I was waiting on food. I'm hungry, so I had to do what I had to do. Not perfect meal, but next stop is Madison, Florida, an hour and a half, 109 miles. Gonna go ahead and unplug now and hit the road. All right, so we made good time again here in Madison, Florida. Supposed to be here for 25 minutes in the parking lot of a gas station that has an Arby's inside. So I am gonna get out and stretch my legs a little bit. I had lunch at the last stop. Not much better than Arby's, but that last leg, 111 miles, 360 watt-hour per mile. So gonna go ahead and get plugged in so we can make it to our last charging stop before making it home. So as you can see behind me, I finally put some time into getting everything put back. I'm gonna leave this on for the rest of the day, but getting the mattress folded up, the blankets, the comforter, all that stuff, got all that put away for the moment. So we're finishing up charging now, and it's about time to hit the road once again. So as you can see, we are finishing up charging. We are at 76% right now. We have 130 miles to go, just shy of 2 hours to get to Ocala, and that will be our last charging stop of this trip. I am, in this situation, going to let it round up and finish the last 2 minutes here because it keeps recalculating and it's getting really annoying, but I'm going to make it to Ocala, no problems, and we should have one more charging stop there and then be home. So this road trip is coming to a swift end. All right, so here we are at the last charging stop at 10%. Got here a little bit early, supposed to be here for 15 minutes to make it all the way home. That last leg was 130 miles, 384 watt-hour per mile. I'm not going to tell you what speed I was going to get 384. I'm just going to plug it. All right, we're wrapping up charging for this last stop. I'm at 54%. Should arrive about 20%. Only 66 miles to go, about an hour. And if we look at this, it's a pretty straight shot. So we're going to take the Florida Turnpike here down at the end of 75. And then down to State Road 27, which will get us home. So pretty excited to have done this. I will show you how many miles we're at once I get home. Gonna go ahead and unplug now. Well, I'm home. Here we go. Let's take a look at how long this trip ended up being, how the car did, and wrap this video up. All right, so that whole trip, coast to coast, 5,730 miles at a reasonable 335 watt-hour per mile, used 1,918 kilowatt hours. I get this question all the time. How much did it cost in supercharging? I'll do my best to estimate it. Last year sometime during an update, if you have referral miles or free miles on your account, it doesn't show you how much the supercharging session would have cost if you were paying for it anymore. So I just get $0 on my screen. So it's really hard for me to figure out exactly how much this would have cost. But this was a bucket list trip. And this trip I have thought about for many years. I just never realized it was going to be in an electric car. So it was awesome. There's nothing better than road tripping in a Tesla. I really enjoy it. And the supercharging network is fantastic. Right in the middle of the country, it looks like there's still some work to do for superchargers. But I gotta tell you, we noticed this at the beginning of this year on our trips down to Florida. We noticed that we're starting to be basically all V3 the whole way down, which is huge. It's not just the initial speed of charging, but also you don't have to split charging ever, which is huge. And in the middle of the country, there's a lot of V2 chargers, so they're usually smaller stations. Of course, there's less traffic in through there, but when you are sharing a stall and you're in the middle of nowhere, you can be there for quite a bit of time. This trip was incredible. Lots of amazing things to see along the way. I wish I had more time so I could actually do some exploring on my own, but it's just not practical because I got to get back home so I can get back to work. But the Tesla takeover event in California was so much fun. It was fantastic seeing so many of you there, and always appreciate getting the opportunity to meet you guys in person. Sleeping in the car, fantastic. This mattress, if you don't know, I helped to develop this mattress over a year to get this mattress just right. I had so many prototypes, but this mattress is just so comfortable. The key to this mattress is everybody's a little bit different on firmness, but what I have found is if you let it inflate by itself and then close it, that's basically the preferred firmness that I like. Now you can pump air into it, add more air if you like, if you want it more firm. A quick way to get this thing set up also is to open up the valves and then close all but one and put the air pump that's included into one of those valves and blow it up really fast, get it really full, and then pull that out and you'll hear the air gushing out. Once it stops kind of gushing out, and you can close it, and that's what I set it at every night. So works fantastic. It's super comfortable. It's not just an air mattress, but it's got 5-inch foam interior on it, so it's super comfortable. It's a really good alternative to just a straight up air mattress. You get the portability of an air mattress, but you get the comfort of a traditional foam mattress. So it's a good in between, a lot more mobile than a true big full foam mattress. So yeah, I don't know what to say. We had some drama in Tucson and we got hit on this trip, which was super unfortunate. Super lucky that Tesla Mesa was able to hook us up. They had a wheel and they were able to get it on in an hour, and I was back on the road the next day. So super grateful for that. Other than that, I do have a little bit of damage on the outside of the car, but PPF saved this paint twice on this trip actually. Once on this A-pillar over here, whatever it is that hit it, and then The Honda bump here on the front left definitely looks like it saved the paint. So in the coming week, I'll be getting estimates to get this fixed. And unfortunately, we're having to go through insurance because nobody wants to take responsibility for their actions. But fortunately, Dashcam is here to save the day and take all of the guesswork out of it. So with all that on this road trip, I cannot wait for the next one. And I want to take one where I have more time to spend at the destinations, but we'll just have to wait and see when that's going to be. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, of course, give it the thumbs up. If you haven't already, of course, subscribe to the channel as we continue to post content regularly. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Bearded Tesla. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time.